It is always fascinating to look back at your journey with the power of hindsight to be able to analyze what things you have done right and what things you have done wrong. But the most interesting aspect would be what you would have done differently. These types of videos are always interesting to watch, so I decided why not throw my spin on it and do one for 3D artists. The book, Still Like an Artist, is one of my recent favorite books, which you should definitely read. The author Austin Kleon prefaced it by saying that when people give advice, they are really just talking to themselves in the past. So this video is talking to a previous version of myself, and I hope you will get something out of it. And while this isn't 3D art specific or even art specific, the stuff I'm gonna go through can be applied to pretty much any discipline and all aspects of learning new skills effectively. You know what they say, hindsight is 20/20. So today, I will try to compile a list of things that I wish I knew before starting learning 3D art. So if I can make my younger self watch this video, I feel like the dummy would have an easier way to where I am right now, which is still basically the bottom. But we're not gonna talk about that, because this is a subject for another video. Also, the stuff I'm gonna talk about here are purely my personal opinion and experience, so feel free to share yours in the comments. A wise man once said, you can only connect the dots looking backward, and you can never do that looking forward. I've been involved with 3D stuff for over a decade, on and off I mean, and I've seen all kinds of shifts in the industry, and I have tried a lot of 3D tools and 3D software. So, we will kick off this one with something that honestly seems counterintuitive, but trust me, if you take anything from this video, this is the best takeaway. Volume is always better than quality, but there is a catch. I see the look on your face, the out of shock and disgust. Fun fact, when I was writing the script, one of my friends read this, and his reaction to this statement was, in what universe does quantity trump quality? The thing is, a lot of artists see themselves as perfectionists and consider it their strength. And while you should be aiming always for high standard of excellence, being perfectionist actually can hinder your growth because it prevents you from achieving the next milestone, the next lesson, technique, or whatever you're trying to achieve. So you can think of perfectionism as that one unskippable cutscene in your favorite video game where you can't do anything. You're just stuck in the limbo land. You're not moving forward and you're not moving backward. You're just stuck. And while perfecting your work and striving to improve your skills should always be your goal, there is a big distinction between bettering your work one project at a time and getting stuck in the finishing touches of a project while hitting the diminishing return phase. I'm gonna show you the graph of progress on any given project, and the graph will look something like this. At first, you are at the 0 mark. Most of the learning usually happens within this area. On the other hand, a ton of time is wasted after the 80 to 90% mark, but the learning and the quality of work is barely noticeable. The source of this graph is a study by the American Science Society called Trust Me Bro. But if you don't believe this, you can try and see the diminishing return for yourself. Andrew Price actually did a great talk about this very topic back in 2016. And some of the points I'm going to address here are from his Blender Conference segment, so be sure to watch it after watching this video, and the link will be in the description, hopefully. Another good example of this would be musicians and painters. If I invoke the name of Beethoven, Picasso, Da Vinci and the others, there is only a few art pieces and maybe a few music pieces that when you hear or when you see, you will know it is from a great artist. But you would be surprised to know that Picasso also created more than 1,800 paintings, 1,200 sculptures, and 2,800 ceramics, in addition to 12,000 drawings, which does not include prints, rugs, and tapestries. What this shows you is that great artists have a huge body of work, but only a few of them float to the surface and become a hit, if you will. So from now on, try to make a conscious effort to stop worrying about perfecting your work, but don't get stuck in the meaningless details. Just start the project, give yourself a time frame, and move on to the next project. Trust me, you'll be better off in the long run. I've been trying to dust off some of my rusty skills. You know, creating content and creating art don't mix together very well, because they both take time. Still, animation is one area where I think I can get back to very quickly, especially when it comes to motion graphics. Smith, a fellow YouTuber, created a couple of courses on Skillshare all about motion graphics in Blender. And Skillshare has a couple of classes by Derek Elliott as well, who is a great YouTuber, and his classes are one of the best for this summer. And if you don't know, Skillshare is one of the largest online learning platforms online, with thousands of classes on art, illustration, VFX, and many other fields, taught by industry experts. And you can also check my class, How to Grow Your 3D Art Career, and Skillshare is giving a unique offer to the first 500 people to click the link in the description down below to get a full month of Skillshare premium subscription for free, which you can use to follow any class you want. Now back to the video. Moving on, the next one is actually multiple points, but I'm gonna combine them into one because they are intertwined together. And here it is. Put yourself out there, seek feedback, and avoid comparing yourself to others. I remember when I first started 3D, I found it very difficult to share my work with other friends or people online because on one hand, I felt like it wasn't good enough, so I didn't want people to criticize my work. And on the other hand, the work I'm seeing online from artists is so next level that I can't help it but feel mine is kind of unworthy to share it, to be honest. I can't stress this enough. Putting yourself out there and seeking feedback is probably one of the best indicators of your success as an artist. Of course, you're gonna have to act upon that, I mean the feedback. But where most artists fail is that they either don't seek feedback or they don't take it seriously. When you think of great artists and professionals, you might, rightfully so, hold this mental image that part of their success is that they figured out something unique or original, something that other artists aren't doing. So it is safe to assume that they keep their work close to their chest and they don't listen to critics. And this could not be further from the truth. Great artists have one thing in common. They put themselves out there and they seek feedback like no other. And their ability to weed good and constructive criticism is second to none. Alex Alvarez, the founder and the president of Gnomon Workshop, or the Gnomon School, the best CG school in the world as far as I am concerned, when asked about what separates superstar artists from all the other average students, he said they seek criticism and actually listen to it. And Andrew pointed out, in his talk, that he didn't mention anything technical like compositing or lighting or maybe topology and so on, but rather the ability to seek feedback. Now, you might say that's all good and fun, but where and how? Well, the internet has no shortage of art forums, Discord servers, Facebook groups, and subreddits, so you can easily ask for feedback anywhere. Now, deciphering the feedback and reading things that will help you, that's another story. But as a rule of thumb, is never think of your art as an extension of yourself. A lot of people find it hard to separate themselves from their work. But to assess your work objectively, you have to almost be as a third party in the process. The third one is, thou shalt steal the right way. When I first started, I remember I had this absolute rejection of using any assets, or incorporating other people's work, or even looking up any references. Yup, it all seemed like cheating to me. I felt like I had to create something purely unique out of memory. Silly of course, but totally true. The thing about making something purely original and unique that wasn't thought of before or influenced by someone is actually virtually impossible. Because whether it is conscious learning or not, or just pure nurture as they say, you can't avoid external influences. Basically, you are influenced by artists who came before you, and they were influenced by other artists before them and so on. In Still Like an Artist, Austin Kleon argued this point, saying that if we are free from the burden of trying to be completely original, we can stop trying to make something out of nothing, and we can embrace influence instead of running away from it. And I think William Ralph put it best when he said, "What is originality?" and detected plagiarism. Or as Picasso just put it, art is theft. Now, I know what you're thinking. I'm already stealing other people's work and posing it as my own. However, that doesn't make you a better artist, or does it? The next one in this video is gonna be called Level of Detail. I know we started this as a philosophical topic, but now let's talk about something more technical. I wasn't sure what to call this one, so I just want to call it Level of Detail. Most people gravely overestimate how much detail they need for a good level CG project. What I mean by level of detail is exactly how many details you should include or cram into a model, scene, or environment, or just artwork in general. This question is often very deceptive, as most artists would agree that the more the merrier. But the thing is, you don't have an infinite number of hours in your day, and you don't want to sink a ton of time into something inconsequential to your scene. Also, another important thing is that as an artist, you are only concerned with what is within the camera's frame. This might just be me, but I used to concern myself too much about the actual scene rather than what actually the camera is looking at, thinking that to make a perfect shot of your scene, it needs to be as detailed as possible and as good as possible everywhere. First of all, more geometry everywhere doesn't mean the scene is gonna be better when rendered, so you should only concern yourself with what is gonna be rendered at the end. Around the same point, I might also include how far something is from the camera, because you can get away with so much more depending on how much you look at it. The master of this is of course the one and only Ian Hubert, the guy who can make a couple of cubes moving around look cinematic, and he produced some of the most revered and highly praised animations, of course using Blender and in the Blender community. But if you pause and inspect some of the frames of his animations, you can see that it is actually not that good. And there you have it, guys. I hope you found this video useful and informative. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel to receive more videos like this. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.